From monsters to beasts, all the way to blobs, and even a gigantic eye. We've got a weird one today as we cover the top 10 mysterious creatures that washed up on shore. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the Circle of Life. In May of 2017, on the coast of South Africa, there came quite the marine mystery that was leaving people absolutely shocked. During this time, there were 3 great white sharks that people found washed ashore. Definitely more than the average, I would assume, but that's not necessarily the most shocking thing in the world. What made this exceptionally strange, however, is that all of these sharks were missing their livers, and one of them was missing its heart. Yeah, that got a lot more weird, didn't it? Scientists, of course, did some more research into these sharks, and after performing autopsies, they came to a conclusion of what the most likely culprit is. Orcas. Also known as killer whales for now very obvious reasons, these guys are actually known to attack other shark species to eat their organs, and the injuries seen on the ones found on the beach are definitely consistent with all the orca attack signatures. Livers are definitely one of the orca's favorite snacks because they are so filled with fat and nutrients. In our number 9 spot today, we have the hairy sea monster. Back in 2018, this hairy sea monster washed up on a beach in the Philippines where people gave it the nickname the Globster. Other than the affectionate nickname, people were baffled as to what this hairy, globby thing could possibly be. The mass was about 20 feet or 6 meters long, and it was clearly some sort of gigantic, but also rotting sea creature. Aside from the horrifying looks, apparently the smell was even worse, which honestly, just thinking about it makes my stomach turn. Scientists explained that it was most likely that this gross sea blob was the remains of a whale. Of course, people asked about the hairy appearance, which experts say is likely just the appearance of the decomposing muscle fibers. So, a mystery no more, but still quite a fright. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Maine Monster. Back in 2018, along the coast of Maine, a 15-foot long sea monster made its debut. By the time this sea monster washed up on shore, it had already decomposed past the point of recognition, which definitely didn't help with its eerie and uncomfortable appearance. One of the people who witnessed it described it as a blob and called it, quote, pretty gross, which definitely paints a picture in my mind. The thing with this creature though is that it was quite large, which of course made people more interested in what it could be or what it once was. Because of the large size, again like the last one, people thought that perhaps it was the remains of a whale, but experts had a different story to tell. They said that this was in fact not a marine mammal, but rather a basking shark, which is the second largest shark species on the planet. In the end, an entire bulldozer was needed to remove this mass from the beach. In our number 7 spot today, we have the football fish. Okay, anglerfish are usually found in the deep sea. They're a super creepy looking fish. Many of their species are called sea devils because of how weird they look. If you've seen Finding Nemo, you know these guys. They have the little light bulb on their heads and they look incredibly menacing. So imagine someone's horror when they ended up stumbling upon one that had somehow washed up on shore. In May of 2021, so about a year ago now, a fisherman found the body of one of these creepy monsters at Crystal Cove State Park in California. It definitely was a shock, especially considering how this species of anglerfish, referred to as a Pacific football fish, is a type that usually spends its days about 3,000 feet or 914 meters below the surface of the ocean. Park officials were of course called to deal with the fish in the proper manner, but man, it definitely gave everyone who saw it quite the surprise. In our number 6 spot today, we have sea lions. One Vancouver Island resident made a pretty terrible discovery back in 2020 as she was walking along a beach in Nanaimo. During this walk, she unfortunately came across a sea lion that didn't have its head. Of course, this is never a good discovery, but matters were made much worse when she ended up finding 5 more sea lions in total with the same devastating injury. Of course, our instincts would be to think of some crazy and scary marine monster, but it turns out it's just the regular old land kind. What I mean by that is that a marine mammal expert for the area explained that the injuries are definitely deliberate, which means that there is someone or some people who are going around and doing this to sea lions. Just a good old classic terrible human being being awful. The expert also explained that some of these sea lions are stellar sea lions, which are an at-risk species, which certainly makes the entire crime even worse than it already was. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Sakhalin Sea Wolf. This creature was found back in 2015, and when it was first discovered, people had absolutely no idea what in the world they were looking at. And to be honest, people still aren't exactly sure. Found on the shores of Sakhalin Island, which is located in eastern Russia, this is one creature that was stumbled upon by Russian soldiers. It had an elongated beak, which initially made people think that maybe it was the corpse of a dolphin, but people quickly pointed out that dolphins do not have fur, which was clearly seen on whatever this creature was. Some people even claimed to have seen paws on the creature, so really it's all up in the air at this point. Unfortunately, whatever this animal was is truly destined to stay a mystery because before a conclusion could be reached, it was washed back out to sea. In our number 4 spot today, we have an eye. Florida is definitely no stranger to weird news and bizarre happenings, but this thing that washed up on a beach is definitely a little out of the ordinary for anywhere really. Back in 2012, as someone strolled along on Pompano Beach, which is said to be near Fort Lauderdale, they had the unfortunate circumstance of stumbling upon a perfectly intact eyeball that was about the size of a softball. Imagine. I'd never go to the beach again. This creepy discovery, of course, was handed over to the fish and wildlife researchers who were able to look into the ocular mystery a little further. They came to the conclusion that this eye once belonged to a swordfish, which, if they have eyeballs the size of softballs, how big are swordfish? Way bigger than I once thought, apparently. Also, how did this eye manage to find itself floating by itself in the ocean? Well, it is said that based on the precision that it was cut out with, rather than some crazy fish attack, it seems like it might have been cut out with a knife by a fisherman who then tossed it back into the sea where it became someone's horrific discovery. In our number 3 spot today, we have worms. Okay, so there's this marine worm, often called a fat innkeeper worm, and well, it looks like, you know, a human body part. Okay? They look weird, they look inappropriate, but they are a very real creature and they were found washing up on the shores of California in mass amounts back in 2019. I'm talking thousands of these pink marine worms all over the beach. What a sight that would have been. Biologists suspected that the influx of beached marine worms was due to a storm that produced strong winds and waves. This of course causes the sand to shift, which then breaks open the burrows that these guys make their homes in, and it brings them straight to the beach for some unsuspecting person to stumble upon and go, what the f happened here? In our number 2 spot today, we have Seadragons. Australia has seen some record amounts of rainfall this year, and while that has brought up a ton of challenges, it's also brought some strange creatures to shore. It is said that there have been about 10 times the normal amount of sea dragons washing up on shores just last month. Dr. David Booth, who is a professor of marine ecology at the University of Technology, Sydney, explained what he thinks is the main culprit when he said, quote, "Clearly it's a result of some combination of the shocking weather, pollutants being washed into the ocean, and big surf." While these creatures can normally be found in Australian waters, it isn't normal for them to stray far from their homes. I mean, it's said that adults of the species only move about 50 to 500 meters away from where they were born, so they really like to stay put. Scientists are of course now conducting research to ensure that the populations of these animals stay at a level it should, especially considering how not too long ago they were a threatened species. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Bondi Beast. Okay, so remember how with the sea dragons I was talking about how Australia has seen some weird creatures washed up on shore lately? Well, here's another one. This creature washed up on Bondi Beach only for a jogger to come across just last month. The jogger who came across it took a video of it and posted it to Facebook with the caption, "Can someone please tell me what this weird alien-like creature is that washed up on the beach at Bondi today?" This strange creature is said to be about half a meter long with human-like lips and skin that is similar to a shark's. Of course, once the video went viral, many people with some good ideas came through, and as of right now there are some people who agree on what possibly may be the most likely answer. Basically, they think that this strange animal may be a decomposing coffin ray with, quote, ballooned intestines. So, still quite a gruesome discovery, despite it maybe not being a mystery any longer. Alright guys, that has been our video for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you next time. Bye!